Hey everyone, it's David Barnett from davidcbarnett.com, the blog site, YouTube channel, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play podcast, where I talk about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium-sized businesses. I am a newspaper reader, like on paper. And the reason why I get the newspaper every day is because sometimes there are opportunities in there that you just can't find anywhere else, because there are people in the world who still do things on paper, and they tend to be older and they've got money, and there's opportunities associated with them. And also government notices and lawyers notices and all that kind of stuff. And today I saw a little news article that I thought that you guys would all be interested in. So let me share that with you. All I have to do is open up this. First of all, guys, if you haven't already, head over to davidcbarnett.com. It's my blog site. If you scroll down here on the left-hand side, you will find a place where you can sign up to my email list. You just check off the different areas of interest that you have. And whenever I put out an email on one of those topics, you'll get it in your inbox. It's the best way not to miss anything that I put out as well. November 23rd, 2018, I will be in downtown Toronto. So if you're anywhere close to Toronto, or if you live in a city that Porter flies to, then they fly right into downtown Toronto. You might want to come out and check me. It's a holiday weekend for Americans. So don't get in a lineup at 5 a.m. to get a Black Friday special. Fly to Toronto and come and meet me. I'm doing my 3-hour session on buying a business, and it'll be a lot of fun. Now, in the newspaper, here's the headline: Donair dynasty dispute behind Ryan Duffy's disappearance. Okay, we're not talking about a missing person. This newspaper article would never appear. It's an article about someone getting sued over a small business deal. It would never appear except that one of the parties is related to a fella who 40 years ago created what's called the donair. So down in Halifax, Nova Scotia, there was an immigrant, a fellow from the Middle East, and he was from Greece, and he was making these hero sandwiches and pizzas in his little shop. And a hero sandwich usually, it's like a pita wrap. It usually has a garlicky tzatziki sauce on it. He decided to create a sweet sauce, and he put it on there. And all the people stumbling out of bars at 2 a.m., drunk out of their minds, decided that this was the best thing ever that they could eat. And the guy literally built an empire of a chain of places called King of Donair, and became very wealthy. And his son is related to this business deal. And this is the only reason this ended up in the mainstream press. So we can thank the gentleman for inventing the donair, because I talk on this channel all the time about small business deals and how they're done, and vendor financing, and how you can negotiate things like personal guarantees. And it's very rare that we ever get a chance to actually see one of these deals in black and white. And, you know, if you're at the golf course and some guy says, "Hey, I just sold my business for $1 million," everyone then says he sold his business for $1 million. Nobody ever asks, what were the terms and conditions? How much did you get on closing? What's the amortization of your note? Like, people don't know to ask that. And so the idea that these deals are done on a cash basis kind of circulates, or people don't even think about it or know to think about it. So let's take a peek at this article. The first half of the article is all about the invention of the donair, and about the family, and about the sale of the original donair restaurant to another family. So it's, most people who read the newspaper would think that that's interesting, but we're going to look at the very end of the article. And if you know anything about journalism, in journalistic pieces, the least important pieces of information always go at the end, because most readers stop reading halfway through. But for our purpose, this is where all the juice is. Okay, all the meaty stuff, or the sweet donair sauce. So it talks here that these two guys had a Ryan Duffy's franchise. And Ryan Duffy's is a well-known Halifax seafood and steakhouse. And at one point they were selling franchises. I don't know how many there ever were, but these two fellas in St. John, New Brunswick ended up with one of these restaurants. So Byrne and Costain are the two people. And Gamulakos, is the son of the donair inventor, and his company ended up buying this Ryan Duffy's in St. John in May of 2017. Okay, and then it talks about the status of the company and the corporate registry, what it says about the company. The statement of claim alleged that Gamulakos bought the St. John restaurant for $400,000, and it says somewhere else in the article this was for the equity of the company. So it was a share deal for a restaurant, which is Not very usual, but let's read this. And the purchase of $400,000 was arranged as a financing agreement. Gamulakos, the documents allege, was to pay the money in monthly installments with a 4.5% interest rate. Promissory notes, it's alleged, were written to the Byrne Family Trust for $260,000 and Costain for $140,000. So I don't know the history of what happened here, but the fact of the matter is one of the sellers is a trust. So it doesn't say estate. So somebody made a lot of money over the course of time and they got a family trust, which is a vehicle for tax management, let's say. So this Gamulakos guy bought the business for $400,000, 100% financed by the sellers through 2 promissory notes. Okay. So yeah, you can get financing to buy a business from the seller. Here it is in black and white. Here's an example of a business. And I don't know this business. I don't have any inside knowledge, but I can tell you that fine dining restaurants of this size, it probably had a couple $1 million in sales. Okay. So it's a significant business. We don't know why it was sold though. And maybe the sellers owed money to the franchisor who's related to Gamulakos. Maybe they ended up selling the restaurant because he wanted it, or maybe they wanted out. We don't know. Okay. But here's what happened is that the payments weren't made. So Byrne and Costain's lawsuits allege that Gamulakos didn't last a year under the purported agreement, defaulting on the monthly payments around December 2017, which is interesting because that's Christmas party season and it should be a good time for a restaurant like this. Okay. So when the payments went into default, the creditors would have the option of trying to get the asset back. And what's interesting is they didn't do that. They didn't go back to try to repossess the restaurant. At the very bottom here, it says Ryan Duffy's in St. John is no more. This spring, social bar Steakhouse opened in its former location. So the landlord ended up giving the spot to somebody else, presumably because rent wasn't paid. And so the sellers, something happened that caused them to sell. We don't know what, but they didn't want to try to take it back. Here's another interesting point. This paragraph that's third from the end, the plaintiffs state that they went after Gamulakos to at least recoup the money he allegedly offered as a personal guarantee, 50% of the debt obligation. And so the Byrne Trust saw it $95,000 and the Costain, Mr. Costain saw it $63,000. So not only did the sellers finance this share purchase of a restaurant 100%, the buyer negotiated to only offer a 50% guarantee. Okay. So I don't know if there was a problem with the restaurant which caused it to close, or if it was a problem with the new management, or maybe the new guy was just trying to save the situation. Who knows? But he definitely thought that he had an opportunity to turn it around or to make money with it, or else he wouldn't have offered any guarantee, right? And from what we know in the article about Gamulakos, he's linked to a bunch of other restaurants in Halifax. So he's certainly an experienced restaurateur. Okay. So this is the stuff I wanted to point out to you guys is that, yeah, it's real. Businesses are bought and sold. The sellers finance sometimes 100% of the transaction. It doesn't mean the buyer didn't have to have any money, because at this point, if things were going poorly, they probably had to inject operating capital. And there certainly were expenses related, legally, all that kind of stuff. And the buyer didn't give a full personal guarantee, which is the other thing that people seem to have a problem with, because they're told all the time, yeah, you're going to have to personally guarantee the debt. And the truth of the matter is, no, you negotiate it. And I've seen negotiations with bankers too about the level of personal guarantees that a buyer is going to offer. So a great little insight into a real business deal. Unfortunately, the business didn't make it, but we're interested in the transaction. And it's so rare to see stuff like this in the mainstream media. If you want to buy a business one day, then learn to do it right. Head over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. Over there, you're going to see a little video that I put together, and you're going to have access to my 4-step program on how to buy a business. Education, if you're watching my videos anyway, you're already into this stuff. It's all summarized here. But the biggest thing is the training. Sign up for my Business Buyer Advantage online course. It's 9.5 hours of video tutorials based on my full-day seminar that I've been giving now for almost 10 years. And live in session. I offer a money back guarantee at the end of the course. Anyone who's not satisfied gets their money back. No one has ever asked for their money back. And since I've been offering it as an online course now for a couple of years, like 2 people have asked for their money back out of hundreds of students. So I'm totally confident the value is there. If you want to learn the ins and outs of how to buy a business correctly, then do this program. It's only a couple $100. It's not a fortune. And if you want even more help after that, then you carry on. Step number 3 is the preparation and coaching. Join my Business Buyer Adventure program. It's an online group coaching where we meet 3 times a month at least. I bring in additional experts. There's all kinds of extra content and a 12-step program to help you get up to speed with the rest of the people that are in the group. Again, a very small investment because it's priced at the same price as I charge for an hour of one-on-one consulting, but you get several hours of content every month, as well as access to me with other people in the group calls. So with that, I'll say see you later. Have a great day. And don't forget to negotiate your personal guarantees. Cheers.